I think I read this in your book, Phil, and I don't want to put words in your book or in your mouth, but I thought I got the impression from the book that as we hit the mid-cycle correction, I thought it was really an equity market correction. Adam and I, communicate a little bit. It always seems like it's
yes.
And you clarified part of my assertion on today's podcast, which is amazing. But one of the things I thought I read from your book, and I might have misinterpreted this, is that the individual speculators in the market, and there are a lot of them, and I think it's even different now, the people who are in the market, and when I'm saying the market, I mean the public equities market, because of the availability and the advertising and marketing to what I'll just call the average American family or the average Joe or a non-accredited investor. The amount of families investing in the stock market today has got to be dramatically higher than it's ever been in the past. And what I alluded from your book, I think, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, is that what ends up happening with a lot of those families and a lot of the speculators is they end up losing money in this mid-cycle correction. And I have lots of friends who in the last 2 to 3 weeks have lost a ton of money. They get scared, and like you said, greed turns to fear. They pull their money out, and they say they're never going to do that again because it was gambling, or they can't resist the temptation not to pull their money out because they're really concerned. Is it going to get worse? And they then look for another asset class, what's the one that never disappears in their mind is real estate. And then they then go and put their money in real estate. Thus, over the next phase of the cycle, we'll call it the second half of the game, like you were calling it, they drive up prices because now there's all this new liquidity in the market and all this new speculation, because where else are they going to put their money? They've had this great run. Now they want to put their money somewhere else. So I may have made that up. It just seems like in my career, that's been how it's gone.
No, that's fair. I would also watch for some more repeats again as we go into the second half of the cycle. I would stay alert for technology companies turning to real estate. So it wouldn't surprise me. Well, I think it's already happening now, but you might come out of China first. Tencent and Alibaba and those sorts of companies, former real estate or former tech companies, particularly, they still are tech companies, of course. They start to get into banking. They start to get into lending money. They start to get into what usually happens, a new type of finance that comes out. So this could, I don't know how that will develop, but it could be it could be all sorts of digital coins and everything else. And as you may have picked up in the book as well, in the banking chapters, new technology comes out that allows new startups and new tech companies to take advantage of the new forms of banking. That's particularly relevant because the workers and the creators of those companies, they don't have a long history in real estate. They don't have any memory of past downturns. Indeed, the past downturn they won't have lived through because they were either too young or at university, and so they've never seen the past downturn. They'll have 14 years up of real estate. They'll think that real estate prices have never collapsed, that always go one way. You'll get the tech companies going into firstly banking, and then by default, if they ever start lending, lending funds or creating credit based on some sort of mortgage or things you've got to offer as credit as the security, you get all the setup for the second half of the cycle coming. Those type of activities, the tech companies that go into banking and other things, they bring with them a crowd of young people that they're devoted to the new technology, and that's the second half of the cycle. It just creates a lack of memory of stuff.